Meet us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Google+. Hey guys, this is Phil from Mediocre.com. Today we got BLU Vivo Air. This is a very thin phone. If you haven't heard about BLU, it's based in California, and they make phones. They don't exactly make phones. They get phones from other manufacturers, and they rebrand it, and they sell it as their own. But the good thing over here is that BLU is probably the only manufacturer, if you want to call it that way, which provides the cheaper phones from the other countries in the States with the warranty and a ease of access. And the other part is that they're not their own, so you can't really say it's a BLU product because they're all over the world. Alright, so let's start with the basics. It's got a receiver on the top, 5 megapixel camera, 4.8 inches of a 720p AMOLED display, menu home and the back key, followed by a micro SIM card over here. It's got a metal frame. It feels really nice and sturdy in your hands. On top, there's a little line that cuts divides between the antenna and the volume rocker and the power key and the micro USB port, microphone, and the earphone jack over here. You can get how thin this thing is with that little thickness between the earphone jack and the other end of the frame. On the back, we have an 8 megapixel camera, LED flash, and the microphone, and the BLU logo, and the speaker over here, along with the logo that says it's a 16 gigabytes model. All right. And the speaker being here, when you place it on your phone on the ground, the sound really muffles. You can barely hear anything, so that's a little disappointment over here. Other manufacturers have done it, have made a little thingy over here to stick a little out, so it gives us a little space between the speaker and the surface, but they didn't, so the sound is barely hearable. So keep in mind of that. And the design is little bit of that from the Sony Xperia and a little bit of that from the iPhone or the Galaxy. It's like a mixture of many phones around the market, and it's done pretty nice. I like it, actually. They've done a pretty good job, and you can either power on, tap twice on the screen to unlock the screen. And the launcher, this is default launcher. It doesn't have the app drawer like all the other launchers. It just lists the apps on the main screen. You can add up widgets, but you can't have the app drawer. The apps all gotta be there. This is not exactly my favorite type of launcher, but you can switch to another launcher if you want to. So I don't think this is exactly the big of an issue. You can scroll down from top to get to notification or settings. There's a little rocket over here that you can just tap to clean your RAM usage and get more free RAMs if you had too many apps stuck in your RAM. The settings gives us a brief info about the phone. It comes with the Android 4.4.2 KitKat. A Lollipop update is planned on June, so you can wait and get that. Update guarantee is always a welcome feature, isn't it? And basic functions or the interface are probably most likely like that of China. It's most of the Chinese phones that separate the two settings and this RAM manager over here, or even the function called the system manager is here. If you're interested in Chinese phones, you guys might have seen those functions. It's always about the same with the MediaTek processors. Talking about the MediaTek processor, it's got a MediaTek MT6572 processor built in. It's 6592, sorry. That's Cortex A7 with the octa-core processor. So it's 8 cores of Cortex A7, and it works pretty good. We've been seeing a MediaTek processor since the dual core, and now they are pretty impressive at a significantly cheaper price than the Snapdragon or Samsung solutions. MediaTek is offering a pretty solid performance nowadays. A little thing that this guy lacks is only a gigabyte of RAM. It seems like a gigabyte of RAM is a little bit out of date, and it's okay, but it's not totally satisfying. And another interesting thing that I figured out is that it's got a separated storage. Most of the devices, actually almost all of the devices nowadays, use a integrated storage to allow MTP, but this has 16 gigabytes in total, but it has separated system and a USB storage memory. That's going to allow you to connect it as a portable, removable media device. So if you're a Mac user or any other platform than Windows, that could be a better chance for you, but it's annoying to move the apps back to the SD card memory and to the phone memory back and forth if you're suffering from lack of storage. Now, we have seen enough of the Chinese phones, and we know that they actually perform fine. But it's the multimedia functions that they don't quite do well. And how about this? It's got an 8-megapixel camera and the 5-megapixel camera on the front, but the camera quality are mediocre. It's just about what you would expect from a $200 phone. The thing over here is the sound. I already said the sound gets muffled a lot with the speaker, but even if you connect your earphones, the sound quality is bad. It's just solid bad that you wouldn't want to listen to music on this phone. So don't even imagine about it. However cheap of an earphones that you use to not distinguish from a good sound or not, this is definitely not something that you would want to listen to your music on. So that's a solid no on its sound quality. The battery life is another issue that Chinese phones, a lot of Chinese phones have. So you can go to settings, and there is, interestingly, a battery saving mode that gives you less performance on the CPU, but saves your battery. But it didn't exactly work quite right. I don't know why, but enabling the CPU power saving mode kind of sucked up battery more. On the everyday usage, like music streaming through 3G and web surfing and just minor users, now I'm not doing any 3D gaming or anything, I had a screen on time for about 3.5 hours to 4.5 hours. If you're turning the power saver off, which I think conserves battery better somehow, it will give you around 4 to 4.5 hours of battery life. And if you turn on the power saver, sounds really wrong, but it's gonna get you around 3 and 3.5 hours of battery. So again, for this thin of a phone, they managed to fit in a 2100 milliamps of battery, and for 2100 milliamps of battery and this much of spec, that battery life is actually pretty good. I pretty respect the results. All right, so the biggest killer point of this phone is its thickness and its price. It's a pretty good looking phone. I like how it looks. It doesn't look exactly like a total ripoff, and it looks pretty solid on the back as well. This part feels a little bit empty, but for a good design, solid performance, it gets you a really, really thin and sleek phone for $199 sans contract. So without contract, this is probably one of the best phones that you can get from Amazon or any kind of easy accessible stores. The battery kind of it's not exactly stable. When you get into the battery, it kind of like runs down to 40%, and then it will stay still for 40% for about 6 hours, and then it's going to drop to 3%. So that's another big issue that I found. We hope that it's going to get better with the software updates. If they do, it's going to be one of the best less than 200 phones that you can get from the stateside. If it does not, unfortunately, if that's the hardware problem, it still is not exactly inaccessible kind of issue, but it's gonna take this down from the best less than 200 phone arena. So again, this is a pretty solid phone. We really liked using it. It has some problems, but still, at its price, it was a lot better than we thought. So that was BLU Vivo Air, a really thin and sleek and light phone for a cheap price. And stay tuned. We'll get back with more reviews soon.